Tell me about a time you resolved a conflict in your team. This question shows up in interviews for almost every role that involves working with people. In just a few minutes, your answer can convince a hiring manager that you're either a teammate they can trust or someone who might add drama to the workplace. In this video, I'll walk you step by step through how to choose the right story, how to structure it, and exactly what to say so you sound calm, confident, and genuinely skilled at resolving conflict. Hiring managers don't ask conflict questions to dig up drama or find out who is right or wrong. They ask because anywhere people work together, disagreements are guaranteed. They want to know, when tension shows up, do you stay professional? Can you listen to others, even when you disagree? And can you move the team forward instead of making the situation worse? Your answer is a live demo of how you behave under pressure. Under this one question, the interviewer is actually testing several things at once. First, emotional maturity. Do you stay composed, or do you sound offensive and blame others? Second, communication. Can you explain a messy situation in a clear, structured way? Third, teamwork and empathy. Do you try to understand the other person's perspective? And finally, impact. Did your actions actually improve the situation for the team or the project? A great answer quietly checks all of these boxes. To keep your answer focused and strong, use the STAR method. That means you describe the situation, the task, the action, and the result in that order. For conflict questions, STAR helps you avoid rambling or telling a story that sounds like gossip. Instead, you walk the interviewer through what was going on, what needed to be fixed, what you actually did to resolve the conflict, and what positive outcome came from it. Here's how STAR fits conflict questions specifically. For situation, quickly set the context, the team, the project, and what kind of conflict appeared. For task, define what was at stake. Maybe you needed to align on a deadline, decide on an approach, or repair a strained working relationship. For action, focus on what you personally said and did to understand both sides, communicate clearly, and move toward a solution. For result, finish with what changed, smoother collaboration, a successful project, or a better relationship. And if possible, a measurable benefit. Not every disagreement makes a good interview story. Pick an example where the conflict was real but not extreme. Avoid stories that involve serious misconduct, harassment, or anything too personal or emotionally heavy. Choose a situation that is work-related, recent enough to feel relevant, and where you clearly had a positive role in resolving things. Ideally, show a conflict about priorities, communication, or approach, not about personalities. And make sure the story ends with a constructive outcome. Before you commit to a story, ask yourself, if the other person involved heard me tell this, would I still sound fair and professional? If the answer is no, choose a different example. You want a story where you can be honest about the difficulty without attacking anyone's character. The right story lets you acknowledge tension while still showing respect for everyone involved. When you start your answer, keep your description of the conflict clear and neutral. 1 or 2 sentences to explain the team, the project, and what people disagreed about is usually enough. Focus on facts, not feelings. Instead of saying, "My coworker was difficult and never listened," you might say, "A teammate and I had different views on how to prioritize tasks for a tight deadline." This shows maturity and keeps the interviewer focused on your behavior, not the drama. Resist the urge to paint yourself as the hero and everyone else as the problem. Blaming language like "they never" or "they always" makes you sound inflexible. Instead, describe what each side wanted or needed, and acknowledge that you also had a point of view. This signals that you see conflict as a shared challenge to solve, not a battle to win. In the action part of your story, you want to spotlight your communication and empathy. Mention that you asked to talk one-on-one, or that you brought the group together. Explain how you listened to the other person's concerns and repeated back what you heard to make sure you understood. Share how you stayed respectful, even when you disagreed. These details reassure the interviewer that you can navigate tough conversations like a professional. Strong answers often include a moment where you helped everyone understand each other better. Maybe you summarized both perspectives, or asked clarifying questions, or suggested focusing on shared goals. Share these moments. They show that you're not just trying to win an argument. You're trying to build mutual understanding. Next, highlight how you moved from talking about the problem to solving it together. Maybe you proposed a compromise, broke the work into clear responsibilities, or involved a neutral third person to help. Emphasize that you aimed for a solution that worked for the team, not just for yourself. This demonstrates both problem-solving and collaboration, two things interviewers care deeply about. Make sure the listener can clearly see your role. Use I statements to describe your actions. I suggested, I set up a meeting, I asked questions, I proposed a way to test both options. Even if the final solution was a group effort, the interviewer needs to understand what you contributed to reaching it. When you describe the result, don't stop at "we resolved the conflict." Explain what that meant in practice. Did the project finish on time? Did you hit a target? Did communication in the team improve? Did you and the other person work better together afterward? Whenever possible, connect the resolution to a clear, positive outcome for the team or the business. If you want to take your answer one step further, add a quick line about what you learned. For example, you might mention that you now address disagreements earlier, or that you ask more questions before assuming someone is being uncooperative. This shows that you grow from challenges rather than just surviving them. Here's a complete sample answer using STAR. Imagine you're in a project coordinator role. You might say something like this: on a cross-functional project, our marketing and engineering teams disagreed strongly about the launch timeline. Engineering felt the proposed date was unrealistic given some technical dependencies, while marketing had already hinted at that date in early customer conversations. As the project coordinator, my responsibility was to help both sides align on a plan that protected product quality and our relationship with customers. You could continue. I scheduled a focus meeting with representatives from both teams. Before the meeting, I asked each side privately to walk me through their constraints so I could understand the non-negotiables. In the joint session, I opened by summarizing both perspectives to make sure everyone felt heard. Then I facilitated a discussion around what parts of the scope were flexible and where we could sequence features after launch. I encouraged both sides to propose options, and I kept the conversation grounded in our shared goal: a reliable launch that still met key customer expectations. Then you'd wrap up with the result and what you learned. By the end of the meeting, we agreed on a revised launch date just 2 weeks later than originally planned, along with a clearly defined minimum feature set. Marketing adjusted their messaging, and engineering committed to a transparent weekly update. We launched successfully with no major quality issues, and both teams noted in our retrospective that the open discussion improved trust. Since then, I've made it a habit to surface and address timeline concerns much earlier in the planning process. To recap, here are quick do's for answering conflict questions. Do choose a real, work-related example with a constructive outcome. Do stay neutral and respectful when describing others. Do use the STAR method so your story is clear and focused. Do highlight communication, empathy, and collaboration. And do finish by showing a concrete result and one thing you learned. And the don'ts. Don't choose a story that makes you or someone else look personally attacking or unprofessional. Don't spend most of your time blaming others or explaining who was right. Don't leave out what you actually did or how things ended. With the right example and a clear STAR structure, conflict questions become a chance to prove you're the kind of teammate people trust in tough moments. Practice your story out loud a few times, and you'll walk into your next interview ready to handle this question with confidence.